session we will continue with the urinary system. So last time we discussed the nephron and we discussed how the kidney is functioning. Now our objective that we will cover during this session, we will describe the structure and function of organs of the urinary system. Already we discussed it previously. Describe the anatomy of the nephron, also it was in the last session. Describe the process of formation of urine and identify the area of nephron and their responsibility in each. Describe the function of the kidney and excretion of nitrogen waste, and describe the role of the kidney in maintaining the fluid, electrolyte, and acid-base balance. Now we reach up to the maintaining of acid-base balance and electrolyte balance. About the electrolyte and acid-base balance in the our body. So the blood composition depend upon three factors. It depends upon the diet that we are taking, and also it depends upon the cellular metabolism, the metabolism of the cell. So the diet, according to the content of the diet from fluid, so when we are increasing the fluid, it means that also the body will have to adjust with the amount of the fluid in order to maintain the amount of fluid in our body in a normal situation. And also the cellular metabolism. In the cellular metabolism, it will produce also either acid or base during the chemical reaction of the metabolism of the food that we are taking. So according to the food that we are taking, also the reaction will either produce more acid or more alkaline. And we know that our body, the physiological processes, it need a specific acidity, a specific pH in our body. That specific pH, it is how much? As we mentioned before, from 7.35 to 7.34. So we need to maintain the acidity or the pH of the blood in order to be within the normal limit. The urine output also. The urine output, it will take with it the nitrogen excretion and also water and electrolyte and also hydrogen, because the urine mostly it is acidic. So maintenance of the acidity, it is by the kidney. So the kidney have four roles in maintaining the blood composition: excretion of nitrogen containing waste, which is discussed previously, and maintaining water balance in the blood, and maintaining the electrolyte balance in our blood, and also ensure a proper pH of our body. So those are from the function of the kidney, from the function of the urinary system. So about the maintaining of water balance in our body, according to our age also, the amount of fluid in our body, it is different. So if we are taking a small child, the percentage of water, it is more than 75% in the body of his total body weight. Let us say that his total body weight is 10 kilogram. So from that 10 kilogram, about 7.5 kilogram, it is water. that amount of fluid, by aging, it will be less. So in old adult, it is around, it will come up to around 50%. You will find some difference in the, according to the reference that you are going to use. In adult, it is more mainly around 60% or 65%. In old age, it is going toward 50% of their body weight. So this amount, the amount of water, it is decreased by aging, as we said. So the water, it is necessary for all the function of all body system. If the amount of water decreased in our blood, we know that our blood, it is around 6 liters of blood that we are having. And the percentage of water in the blood, it is more than the percentage of water in other body cells. So let us imagine if the amount of water or the percentage of water in the blood is becoming down. What will happen to it? What will happen to the blood? So the viscosity of the blood, it will be more. So thank you. So the viscosity of the blood, it will be more. When the viscosity of the blood is more, the possibility of clotting, it will be less or more? It is more. So the possibility of clotting, it will be more, because the viscosity is high in this case. So because of that, we need to maintain the amount of body fluid in our body. And also it will interfere with other substances. So electrolytes are there. All chemical processes also, it will be affected due to that. So also it is necessary, as we said, for many body function to and level must be maintained. Distribution of body fluid, it is distributed as intracellular fluid inside the cell. The cell is having so fluid inside the cells. About 2/3 of the body weight. It is about 2/3 of the body weight is fluid intracellularly. Then we have the extracellular fluid in our body. The extracellular fluid, which is outside of the cell, which in the interstitial fluid. Interstitial, what we mean by interstitial? Intracellular, we said intracellular. Intracellular, inside the cell. Interstitial, between the cells of the tissues. So it is between the cells of the tissues. In between there is intracellular space, we call it. So within the intracellular space, this is the fluid which is the outside, which is the the extracellular, from the extracellular. And we have also plasma. It is a fluid. So we have the fluid outside the cells, which include one of them is the blood. The blood, it includes also intracellular, and it will include the blood plasma. And also there are some free fluid in our body, extracellular, and there is a space for them. Do you remember where do you find some free fluid? Yes. It is the one that we want. One of them. Just say its name. Where is it is present? Huh? What kind of fluid which is there? Huh? Huh? You are saying something, but I cannot hear it properly. She said around the brain. What's there in the around the brain? What we call that fluid which is around the brain? Yes, cerebrospinal fluid. Thank you. So the cerebrospinal fluid, one of the fluid which is protecting our fluid. What other kind of fluid that we are having also? Do you remember the serous fluid?
Yes.
Where do we find the serous fluid?
Heart.
Around the heart, which is in the pericardium, and the pericardial fluid, and also where we will find it around the line, the pleural, and also where we found the joints. Yes, thank you. So it is in the synovial joint. So there are many spaces that it contain fluid, and each type of fluid it has its own function. So we have the blood, we have the synovial fluid, we have also the cerebrospinal fluid. So the total water volume, it depends upon, it is around 60%, or in children we said that it is 40%, but it is around 80%, so 75 to 80%. So in an adult it might be around 40 liters of fluid in our body. The extracellular fluid, it is 20% of our body weight, which is around 15 liters. The intracellular fluid, it is around 25 liters, which is around 40% of our body weight. So intracellular fluid volume, we have intracellular and extracellular. In the blood plasma, it is around 3 liters or slightly higher. So those are the fluid that we have. So the around the line we have also excretion from other organs. This will be excreted as fluid. Excretion from the stomach and the GI tract. There are the HCl, will come also with the gastric juices and also some fluid. The mucus secretion also, it contains fluid. So all that excretion, it will help the fluid, it will help in all the function of our body, in the exchange of electrolyte, in transmission of the nerve impulses, because when it maintains the electrolyte exchange, also in the wall of the nerve, this also, the water is having some function with it. So also play a role in the exchange, that the function of blood and fluid is there, and it play a role in the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. also play a role in the absorption of the nutrient in our body, and also the digestion of fluid and formation of urine and excretion of that urine from the kidney. So, about maintaining of water balance, the intake of water and the excretion, it should be equal in order to maintain the amount of fluid in our body. If the amount of intake is more, in this case, we have our body has to do some processing in order to excrete more fluid in order to maintain the balance within our body. So the source of water that we are taking, what kind of, how you are taking fluid, what kind of fluid that you are taking in your daily time.
Drink water.
You are drinking water. What other thing that you are drinking, and it's mostly fluid?
Eat.
Juice, if you are taking juice. So it is also, most of it is water. What other thing?
Vegetable.
Vegetable also, most of the composition of vegetable, it is water. It is around 50% or more sometimes. What other thing? Sorry? I can't hear you. Just raise your voice. Huh? What other thing? So all the thing. Do you think that we are taking rice and we are taking even bread? Do you think that it has fluid or not? Even those things that we are considering it sometimes dry, it has a percentage of water. Because if it doesn't have water, it will be burned. We say that it's going toward black. So, but the percentage of water, it will be less in that. So, we are taking as the fluid in our body as, or we are taking fluid to our body as a pure fluid, like water, or with a high percentage of fluid, like juices that we are taking, soft drink that we are taking, all are, most of it, it's water. Or 100% or 99% is water. Then from the food that we are taking, also it has water. So food, around the average intake of pure water or fluid, it is around 1.5 liter. So 1,500 ml. Within the food, 30% of our food consists of water. It depends upon the type of food that we are taking. It might be more than 30%. It might be 50% or more. It depends upon the food that we are taking and how we are preparing our food and what kind of food that we are preferring and taking. Also, the metabolism process, the chemical processes of hydrolysis and the chemical processes of metabolism and producing energy. It will produce around 10% of our body fluid intake. It is around 250 ml of water. It will be produced through the chemical processes in our body due to metabolism. So this is the average intake of water per day. So we are taking 10% through the metabolism, 30% through the food that we are taking, and 60% through the water and beverages. So the total is 1,500, which is pure water, and here 1 liter, which is either from the food or from the metabolism. So the total it is around 2.5 liter. This is for in a normal condition, in depend also upon the temperature. In a moderate temperature, because if we are in summer and we are working outside, sometimes we are taking more than 2 liters per hour or work per within a short period of time. Why? Because the intake it should replace the output that we are having. The output one, it is not necessary to be the urine. The output it is, in this case, it's from the skin. About the average output from our body, we have the thing that we are taking it as a pure water or beverages, which is a liquid form. Usually it is equal to the amount of urine that we excrete. So the sensible thing, the thing that we see, and we are considering it as a pure fluid, the same amount also it will be excreted as a urine. This is in normal condition. Now there are other things which is here, we are taking some fluid which is hidden, either in the food or in the metabolism, from the metabolism. And also we are losing some fluid which is hidden, that we cannot measure it directly. That amount of water that we are losing it and it is hidden, some of it we are around 100 ml, it will be lost through the feces, through the stool. If the stool is dry, we will not be able to pass it. So around 100 ml of water, this is in normal condition. Because of that, those who are having diarrhea, we have to give them supplement of fluid. In case of any gastrointestinal tract disease, if you got diarrhea, you have to supply yourself, you have to take more fluid in order to maintain the fluid balance. And 8% it will be through perspiration, through the skin, through sweating. This is also in moderate climate, not in hot climate when you are outside. If you are outside and in hot climate, you are losing too much sweating. And then around 700 ml of water, which is the insensible loss via the skin and the lung. Also, when we breathe in and out, some of the fluid we are losing it through breathing. Because of that, in a cold weather, you see like a fog around in front of our face when we breathe out, when we expire, when expiration, not expire. So this is some of the fluid loss from our body. So either through the breathing, or through the skin, or within the stool. So the water intake, as we said, it should be the same as the water, the amount of water that we excrete. The source, as we said, it is the ingestion of food and the fluid that we are taking, and water produced through the metabolism. About the thirst mechanism. When the body fluid is becoming low, we will feel thirsty. This feeling, it is driving force for the human being in order to take water. So it is a force for water intake. This is due to the impulses that is going to the hypothalamus, which is the osmoreceptor, osmolarity. Because the osmolarity, it will be changed. When we lose a fluid, the concentration of our blood, it will be higher in this case. And that it will increase the osmolarity. When increasing the osmolarity, in this case, the fluid, it will be taken from the cells. Did you remember the osmolarity and those things in biochemistry? The fluid, it is changed from, it will go from higher osmolarity from the lower osmolarity to higher osmolarity. The water, it will coming to from the lower concentration to the higher concentration. The water, this is the water. The electrolyte and this, or the soluble, it will go from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So in this case, when the osmolarity of the blood is high, so in order to maintain the osmolarity, what will happen? It will take some fluid from the cells. Because of that, we feel that our body, or the skin, it will start to be dry, there will be no sweating. Also, the skin turgor, it will be changed. When we bench our skin, especially Ramadan is coming, so at the end of the day, when we bench our skin, it will not return directly to its normal position. Why? Because of the loss of fluid that we have during that day. So the source of water output, as we said, the vaporization from our lung, loss of in perspiration or sweating, and leave the body in the feces and urine also production. So those are the water balance and how the water is balanced in our body. So it has the kidney, it has to maintain the balance within and to maintain the osmolarity and to maintain also the electrolyte. By that, so the fluid that we are taking, it has to be as equal as the fluid that we lose. So maintaining water balance and electrolyte balance, if less urine, in this case, the large amount of water, when there is, if the amount of urine is, or if the intake is less, what will happen to the kidney? Reabsorption will be more. Reabsorption will be more in order to concentrate the urine. So the amount of urine will be less. If we are taking more fluid, in this case, the kidney reabsorption or the pretibular vessels will not reabsorb the most of the water that is excreted in order to get rid of some fluid that we are taking extra, the excessive fluid that we are taking. So in this case, you find that our urine, it will be light, and the amount of urine, it will be more than usual. If we are not taking an enough amount of fluid, or if we are taking the same amount of fluid but the weather is hot, and we are losing fluid through other means. In this case, also the kidney will concentrate the urine more in order to maintain the balance within our body. So the concentrated urine is produced in in a large amount of water are lost in its urine. So the diluted urine is the more amount is produced if water intake is excessive, as we said. The proper concentration it is of various electrolytes must be present in the also the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid. So we have to maintain the same amount of the normal amount of extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid. So the kidney regulates the blood composition and volume. If we have problem with the kidney, so if the kidney is not working well, what will happen? There are two possibilities. Either it will excrete more urine, or it will excrete or more fluid, or it will not excrete a sufficient amount of urine. So the possibility are two. If the kidney is not excreting the required amount of fluid, what will happen?
The vaccine comes to the body.
What will happen to our body? What we can see in our body? If the kidney is not excreting the usual or the required amount from the fluid.
Tired.
Tired is a feeling that we see. Yes, we will feel tired because of the consequence of the things that happen.
Color of the skin.
Okay. Color of the skin depend upon other factors. It depend upon the level of oxygenation and other factors. What you will see if the water retention is there. What? And where did in physical assessment did you took anything related to that? Did you took the assessment of lower limb and yes, edema. Thank you. So edema will the conditions will start with edema, and we find it first in the lower limb. Why edema is there? Because the amount of fluid that has to be excreted is not excreted well. So the body is having more fluid than required. So edema will start. It will start within the lower limb. Also, it will affect the other system. It will affect the heart because the blood volume also, hypervolemia will be there. And also, if the kidney is not working well, it is not only working with the fluid. It will interfere with the electrolyte balance. So the proper concentration of various electrolytes must be also present in the intracellular and extracellular. As we said, the kidney has to regulate the composition of blood volume, regulation of composition by hormone. So when blood pressure also and blood volume drop, in case of loss of fluid, in case of diarrhea, or in case of bleeding, so the amount of fluid or urine formed by the kidney, it has to be decreased. It will be decreased as a normal physiology in order to maintain the normal volume and the blood pressure. So a nerve impulse are sent from the posterior pituitary, which related to antidiuretic hormone. So antidiuretic hormone is there. The antidiuretic hormone, it will prevent the excess loss of water. So that hormone from the posterior pituitary gland, when our blood volume or fluid volume is decreased, there will be increase in the production of antidiuretic hormone. So that hormone, it will prevent water loss by increasing the reabsorption. So after the filtrate is coming from the glomerulus, it will go through the proximal convoluted tubule, lobe of Renal, and distal convoluted tubule. And if you remember, around all of those tubes, there are capillaries. It will reabsorb, it will increase the reabsorption due to presence of the antidiuretic hormone. Cause the kidney to collecting duct to reabsorb more water and recall, causing blood pressure volume to become normal level. So the antidiuretic hormone, the effect of it, it will reabsorb water in order, it will increase the reabsorption of water when our body is losing fluid in order to maintain the blood pressure. So by that, we are maintaining the blood pressure in our body. If we are taking more fluid, in this case, there will be decrease in excretion of antidiuretic hormone in order to let more fluid to go out from our body to be excreted. So the reabsorption will be, in this case, less if we are taking more fluid. But if we are losing fluid due to certain illness or due to the weather, due to high temperature, and we are losing it through the skin or through diarrhea or vomiting, in this case the blood volume will become less. So this will enhance the posterior pituitary gland to produce the antidiuretic hormone that will decrease the process of that will increase the process of reabsorption of water. So it will return water back to our body, and this will help in the maintenance of normal fluid volume and normal blood pressure. If the kidney is failing to do that, or there is problem with the excretion of antidiuretic hormone, in this case, we will have dehydration. Dehydration will start. In this case, we have to get an external supplement. So the other thing, or the other function, is the maintenance of acid-base balance. So the acid-base balance, the pH, as we mentioned and we discussed it many times, it has to be from 735 to 745. By that acidity, or the level of pH, which is going toward alkalinity. So that by maintaining that level, it will help in all processes within our body. The hormone, the effect of the hormone, the effect of enzyme, the proper function of the hormone and enzyme, the proper metabolism, it will happen properly in that pH. If the pH is becoming higher than 7.45, it is called alkalosis. If it is less than 7.35, it is going toward acidosis. Even if it is not going below 7. You know, in solution outside, we said that it is acidic if it is less than 7. But in our body, even if it is 7, it is considered as acidosis because it is less than the required pH of the body. That will interfere also with the normal physiological processes in our body. The acid production in our body, it is produced through the phosphoric acid, lactic acid, and fatty acid, carbon dioxide from the carbonic acids. So all of those, they are acidic in our body. And if you remember them in biochemistry, with the biochemistry course. About the base production by the body, the ammonia and other substances, they are alkaline. Most acid-base balance is maintained by the kidney. The other acid-base balance controlled by a controlling system, we have the blood buffers, and you remember the blood buffers and the blood, when we took the blood. So it can excess the acid or base, but it cannot be eliminate them from the body. So the blood buffer, the function of blood buffers, it can modify, but it cannot get rid of them outside. But the kidney can get the acid, can get hydrogen out of the body. So hydrogen can be getted out through the respiration. Also, the lung can eliminate carbonic acid by elimination of CO2. So CO2 elimination, it will decrease the acidity in our body. If the amount of CO2 is more, it will lead to what we call it respiratory acidosis. There is respiratory acidosis and metabolic acidosis will come to it. So only kidney can get rid of other acid and regulate the level of alkaline substances in the body. And by that, it regulates the acid-base balance within our body. So the renal mechanism of acid-base balance, when the blood pH rise, will mean that hydrogen ion, it will be more. So the bicarbonate ion are excreted in order to maintain the acidity. The hydrogen ion are retained back to the kidney tubules. So it will be returned back to the kidney tubules in order to be excreted. When the blood pH fall down, it means that the hydrogen ion is less. In this case, the bicarbonate ion are reabsorbed and hydrogen ion are secreted. When the pH fall and hydrogen are more. Urine pH varies from, as we said, from 4.5 to 8. So, but mostly of the time it is acidic. But it can be alkaline according to the diet that we are taking. The kidney tubules have the ability to excrete base or acid ion in order to maintain the blood pH and hemostasis within the body. Do you want us to continue or to take a break? Okay, so I'll give you a break. We'll stop now.